Whenever you hear about the Ice Age in textbooks or nature programs, it's always assumed that it happened over hundreds of thousands of years, starting about 200,000 years ago and kind of petering out about 12,000 years ago. And those are the kind of dates you always hear. They always use these very old time frames and paint people as kind of ignorant, scraping out of existence during this period of Earth history. Now, one of the primary evidences or proofs that those who believe in evolution use to support these kind of time frames are ice cores. They go to Antarctica and they'll go into these huge glaciers that are often miles deep, and they'll take core drillings of these ice sheets. Now, as ice packs down deeper and deeper, there is so much weight, it compresses the ice, and you'll see very fine lines in these cores, and these lines are assumed to be seasons, winter, summer, and they can count them and come up with, literally hundreds of thousands of individual cores when they count these lines in these core drilled sheets of ice that they've taken out of Antarctica and other places. Well, no one was there to see this ice form. All of that is interpretation based on a belief in enormous periods of Earth history. But how old are these ice sheets, and how long did they take to form? To learn that, I'm going to take you back to World War II, and we're going to talk about the Lost Squadron of P-38 Lightnings. Now, what does that have to do with Earth history? Well, you have to understand the whole story. You see, in 1945, there was a squadron of P-38s that were flying over Greenland on their way to Europe to join the war effort when they were forced down onto a glacier by an enormous snowstorm. Well, that storm continued and continued. The pilots actually made it out to a nearby base, but they had to abandon their airplanes, and they were left stranded there in 1945 on this glacier in Greenland. Well, a group of businessmen from, I believe it was Tennessee, read about this in the 1970s, and they thought, you know what? Those airplanes are still sitting up there on that glacier in Greenland. I think we ought to just fly up there, dust the snow off the wings, and fly one of those puppies home. And that's exactly what they set out to do. Except it took 10 years and over $1 million just to extract one of those airplanes. Expeditions worked for year after year to extract these airplanes. Why was it so hard? Why not just dust the snow off of them? Because from 1945 till 1975, snow continued to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate in this area of Greenland. And those airplanes were buried under 250 feet of ice. Now it takes 2,500 feet of snow to turn into 250 feet of ice. In only 30 years, 250 feet of ice formed in this one area of Greenland. You understand, during the Ice Age on our planet, there was enormous snowstorm after snowstorm. These lines we see in these ice cores are not seasons and annual events. They are merely snowstorms where enormous amounts of snow build up. There may have been a melting down and compaction period in between, and then another snowstorm would build up, creating another layer. The thousands of feet of ice that we find in these ice cores are not proof of hundreds of thousands of years of Earth history. They're merely the rapid accumulation of ice during the Ice Age period of this Earth, which followed Noah's flood. And the fact that 250 feet of ice could have buried those airplanes in a mere 30 years shows how fast ice can actually build up.